what I have to offer. And what I have to offer is what I do in daily life. I'm kind of like you. This is what I do daily.
I
This
love
isn't
it.
this isn't something that I just manufacture because I want to sell it to you, or I go over here and make it and then show it to you. I actually do it every day.
Hey, everybody, you're listening to episode 93 on the Air Hug Community Podcast. Hello there and welcome or welcome back. If you are new here, this is the Air Hug Community Podcast and I am your host, Judy Arizosa. I am a midlife lady who is someone who loves to share stories from myself and special guests that reflect on just how midlife really goes, not how we think it should go. We talk about the good, the bad, the messy, the ugly, the wonderful, all the emotions. And this is a place where we actually can grow from our experiences. So welcome. I'm glad you're here. Let's get started.
So my business is very seasonal. It's not evergreen. It usually it just happens all the time. So it's spring, summer, winter, fall. Most people manage their lives like that.
Mm-hmm.
They really do, seasonally and by holidays. And so my seasons are very earmarked. It's now almost full gardening season here in Kansas City. Now, that's not the way it is all over the world. I realize that. So anyway, we're going into full gardening season. And I truly believe, and I think this is why we came together initially to do the podcast, was Mental Health Month.
Yeah.
And how wonderful plants are for our mental health. And so as wherever you are in the world, when spring comes, it's like a rebirth. And plants really can help you connect, not only with yourselves, but with nature, why we're here. You know, I can actually feed myself with this stuff. You know what I mean? It's like, it's a huge accomplishment. And it can be done with your own hands. It can be done with your own hands and a little bit of dirt.
Whoa, before we get too far into this, I'm going to just take a little pause and introduce our amazing guest today. Today, we have a very special guest on. Our guest today is someone who is very accomplished in the art of homemaking. In fact, she is a professional organizer and her brand is Are You Ready to Organize? And we first became acquainted on Instagram. And I'm going to tell you right now, go ahead and follow her account, Are You Ready to Organize? And her name is Rebecca Phillips. And I wanted Rebecca to come on today because she had a beautiful post about plants and their relationship to actually making you feel, I would say, better. I like the word happy too. We talked about happy and better, but being that it's Mental Health Month, we wanted to have a chat and I wanted to make sure to share it with you, our audience, about plants and what they can actually do for us mentally and emotionally. So Rebecca, I want to welcome you. Thank you so much for joining us today. Is there anything else you want to say about introducing yourself?
Oh, I think you covered it fine, Judy. I'm looking forward to it.
Okay, awesome. Super. So one of the things that I spoke with Rebecca about a couple minutes ago when we were doing our little pre-game chat, I like to call it, was how, number one, what I love about you, Rebecca, is that you are who you are. Like, you're not putting up fake things. Like, if you put up a recipe, you make it and eat it. You know, if you do something, you are living what we see, and you know the same goes with me. And so I think we have a real connection that way. But one of the things you mentioned was that your business, because it's a reflection of your life, is very seasonal. And I was really, I love that, because really it is. We're so affected by what we do seasonally. And I know right now, as we're recording this, it's May, and we're actually going to also publish this in May. And so this is the time of gardening. And so tell me what you've learned, observed, experienced about how gardening can change your outlook.
I first learned about gardening from my mom. She was a farmer. and she had lots of acreage, and she had the energy that I could not believe. I mean, acres, 2 acres of tomatoes, an acre of corn. And I have this little tiny half an acre plot. It's just amazing. That's where I really got into it, was with her. Just going out, hanging out with her. Even when I was in college, I'd come home and hang out with her and help her with the garden. I say it was really a huge 2.5 acre, whatever it was. It was just amazing what she could do. And so I just decided, I went through college. I wasn't into gardening then. I wasn't into gardening when I graduated college. When I, up until I got married, it was probably about 15 years ago that I really started to look around, and I said, we have wonderful butterfly opportunities here, hummingbirds and butterflies. I thought, why don't I put in a butterfly garden? And this is before the tomatoes and the peppers and all of the Italians, all that stuff, all my salsa stuff. So I'm like, let's put in a butterfly garden. So I researched it, and I found a really great plan that I could just lay out and work in one of the corners in our patio. And I did it. And it's a flourishing butterfly garden that has tons of butterflies and hummingbirds. And I sort of every year it got to be more and more prolific. And so I got really into it, and I was like, well, why don't I plant parsley over here and basil, because that's what they love. And it's true, because butterflies will latch their larvae on the parsley, and they will eat and grow on it. And then they know that. Yeah. And it's amazing, because I've done videos, and oh my gosh, the two people love that. These little tiny worms, if you touch them, their little horns come up. They hiss at you. And those are the butterflies that we're getting ready to do their thing. And so I'm like, well, why don't I do tomatoes? Okay, I'm going to do some peppers. And so it just grew. It's all around my house now. I even have them on the side of the front yard, because I don't have enough room.
You're making good use of your space.
I'm making good use of space, and so that's kind of where I got jazzed up about it. And it just kind of grew. Last year, it grew a little too much. I had too many tomato plants. I have to say, I have to pull back, because, it's one of those things where it can get away from you.
Yeah. Okay. So
too many to even give away.
Many to even give away. That's so funny. That's giving me memories of when my kids were little. We did a garden for 16 years between our first two houses. And when we moved to where we were here, we lost the battle with the deer. So I should ask you, do you have any experience with what to do with deer?
No, but if I was 5 miles over into the woods, yeah, I would. I'd have problems. Yeah.
Yeah. It's like I see the deer every night. And sometimes I have to even stop my car because they're making a crossing.
Right. Yeah, they're friendly.
So I've been doing okay with herbs. But anyways, let's go back to the whole feeling of how it changes, like being that it's Mental Health Month, like just even a potted plant or something. What is it with like things that we do with our hands and grow? Why do they make us so happy?
I think it's just the magic of nature. I think you're in awe that either you can use seedlings or you can buy the plants. It's okay either way. I do half and half. That's great. It's just this awe of nature again. That's that whole rebirth that you see all the time right there in front of you. And you see the growth and the fruit of the tomatoes, and you make your own salsa, you make your own Italian, you take your basil and you make your pesto, which I love to do. And
me too.
You don't actually have to go to the store and have somebody give it to you to make. You pull it out of the garden, and it tastes totally different. And it came from you and the earth. So it's kind of like, it's this real sense of, I don't want to say power, but it's this really uplifting feeling that you really accomplished something beautiful and tasty.
And tasty, right? I'm thinking of the word like a sense of satisfaction.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I think most people, Judy, really don't believe they can do it. And here's the thing I hear all the time. Oh, I don't have a green thumb.
Yeah.
I don't have a green thumb. There's no such thing. Okay. There's no such thing. Everybody can grow something, even if it's in a couple of pots. Mm-hmm. Practice. If you kill it accidentally, well, try again.
Get another one. Yeah.
Yeah. Do it like you do anything else you love. Research it and get it right. I mean, I know that's a bit of a lecture, but I have really converted some people and they just rave about it. I don't have any room. And then they make the room and I help them, put a few pots together. And the thing to me is ask yourself, do you want to grow flowers or do you want to grow veggies? I like both.
Mhm.
If you want to grow veggies, grow what you eat. Make it a kitchen garden. Okay, so I grow everything to make salsa and
Mhm.
everything to make marinara. And we love those two things. Absolutely. And pesto. We can never stop eating all that.
I
So
know.
grow what you love to eat, and that will really get you into it and motivate it because it'll taste totally different than store or a restaurant.
So much fresher, right? I
Oh
love
yeah.
that. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean,
There
you
is
get to
nothing
go
like
out.
an August tomato, right?
Oh, I know. I know. You get to go out and pick it. You get to make it and eat it. Isn't that amazing?
It's
It's
amazing.
great. I know. And I think most people could grow herbs or succulents. That's where I get them started.
Hmm.
Yeah.
And by
So,
succulents, give me some good examples.
oh, well, I don't know if there's a post about 3 back where I did a picture of a succulent garden. And
Okay.
I'm gonna do some more. I have a whole porch full of them because we just moved them outside because the weather's just right. Not necessarily cactus, it's like aloes.
Mm-hmm.
Mother-in-law tongues. Have you heard of those? They're called,
No.
oh, now wait a minute. It's escaped me. It's not called spider. I'll
I'm
have to
gonna.
look that up for you. I know. And there's a particular word for it, but there's different varieties and it really cleans the air in your home. They're
Really?
absolutely, yeah. If you look up mother-in-law tongues,
Oh,
you'll
there's
find
your
it.
succulent garden. Okay.
Yeah, yeah, that is one of the best plants to put, especially in your bedroom or where you hang out all the time. I have two huge ones, and now I've pinched them off, and now I'm growing more. I've got little babies, so that's a
Hmm.
good place to start.
Okay.
Aloes, of course, you can use
Yeah.
them for medicinal purposes. You could even eat the pulp in your smoothies. You just scoop it out and put it in your
And
scoop.
put it in. I've heard that. I've
Yeah,
not
it's
tried it.
wonderful. Yeah,
Does it alter the taste?
there isn't a taste, really. I mean,
Oh.
it is kind of bland. It does have a little twangy taste, but
Mm-hmm.
once you put it in your smoothie, it's gone.
Okay.
Yeah. So
Yeah, there's so many other flavors. Yeah.
yeah, I always have aloe juice in the fridge to put in my smoothies, but that's a good start right there. And then, if you love cactus, grow cactus too. Absolutely. But mother-in-law tongues really clean the air. Those are super healthy to have.
Look at that. I'm so excited to know that. Wow. I'm
Yeah.
kind of getting the itch a little bit too. So we had an herb garden and I had it in the ground, which was great. I loved it, but I had planted oregano and we had this jungle of oregano that
Yeah.
took over. It crowded out the sage. And then I would put little annual planters in. So we actually just tore it out and I'm going to start over, but I think I may do a series of pots in the
Yeah.
ground
Yeah.
just so that I don't have the oregano turn into a jungle again.
Yeah, yeah, oregano does that. So does rosemary. So does chamomile. Um, and then some don't. And
My
pots,
mint always done, but I have a mint down in like my
yeah,
unfinished area down the hill, and that
right,
I
right,
love
yeah.
it.
Pots are always good because you can move things around. You can just separate them, so they don't take over each other.
Yeah, that sounds like fun. Oh, I'm excited. So your big three that you talk about, organizing, baking, and gardening, I think that is such an interesting combo. And this is your gardening season. So I'm not going to take a guess. Tell us about your baking season. Is that more holiday and harvest related?
Baking, yeah, baking for me is more from the bread end of things because I love
Okay.
baking.
Mm-hmm.
But the other end of it, I guess I'd say baking and meal prep are really what I like to talk about. I think there's a lot better cooks out there than me. I'll just be honest with you. So I don't need to start that. I like to put out recipes that are really delicious and very quick and simple to make because I think that's what people really want.
That's what we crave. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's what people want. Like my post from yesterday was about making pear tarts and then saving the extra sheet of puff pastry to make salmon on pastry. to go with it, which would
Yeah.
be in
It
minutes.
sounds so fancy.
God, it
It's
is.
simple.
They look beautiful. And it looks like a chef made them. And of course, no, we did. We made it.
Very cool.
So that's really my angle on cooking, but baking is all about bread, anything bread.
Are you
Even
big into sourdough or?
Oh yeah, so, yeah, that's one of my really big favorites. I don't even use recipes anymore, Judy. When I want to make a bread, I don't even look up the recipe anymore. After 15 years, you should. I do if I really feel like I need to make it perfect.
Mm-hmm.
But most of the time, I can hit the mark by just making it.
You just know.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. And it's kind of like maybe when you work out, I don't want to speak for you. Maybe when you work out, you kind of know, you don't have to look at a piece of paper to tell what you're going to do, right?
Well, I'm kind of anal, so I like want to make sure I get everything. But having said that, if I travel or if I'm out of my element, I absolutely wing it.
Yeah. So it's kind of a rhythm. And I think a lot of people want to start making sourdough. And again, that's intimidating and it's not hard. It does take practice. I have to say, it took me about a year to get it down.
Maybe I gave up too soon. I did about 18 months and then let my starter go. And then I have a friend who is super accomplished at sourdough, and he has the starter from King Arthur that's like 200 years old.
Yeah.
And he's like, don't worry, if you let it go, I'll have more. And so I did have some good results with it, but it was so good. I think I wanted to eat more than I could have.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
But you know what? I don't think that should be a detriment because you can always give it away. And it was really
freeze
fun.
it. Yeah, you can always cut it in half and freeze it.
Yeah.
That's what I usually do for us because it's just my husband and I now. The kids are gone. When they're home, they eat it all. But half of it can go in the freezer. I'm not worried about that. Yeah, I also have a very old sour from King Arthur, and I have a yeast and a yogurt starter. The yogurt is from whole wheat, and the yeast is white flour.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, they both make totally different consistencies in bread. The yogurt starter is for really earthy, stone ground, hearty harvest kind of breads.
And I
then,
never heard of a yogurt starter.
Yeah, it's you have to use Greek yogurt, unflavored, and it's just like using yeast. It ferments. It's great.
Okay. You have to do it. Is there a post on your Instagram? If not, you have to put one up.
The yeast starter, I think I did quite a while ago, and I think it's on my website too. If not, I'll look it up. Yeah. It's just like making the yeast starter. It's just like it, except you use the yogurt. And it's delicious. It just for different breads. I mean, you don't have to use the yogurt starter. I like to play with it,
Yeah, I love to know about these things. So, and how about organizing? Is there a time of year where you think people are more into it or where it comes up in your seasons?
Right. Yes, I do. I think people right now are getting into the outdoors, and I kind of lose them right now because they're planning vacations, and thank goodness we can do that now.
Yes.
So I'm really losing them. So that's fine. I mean, I know they'll be back, so that's why I kind of venture out to my garden, and those who are interested in gardening can hang out. Most people are into organizing around just before the beginning of fall, right at the end of summer, because they know fall's coming. Kids are going back to school, whether they're small kids or adult kids, whatever. And that means that we're going to also head into the holidays. They're coming. Everybody knows. They don't want to talk about it, but it's coming. You know what I mean?
Yes.
So that's when I try to get with folks and I say, hey, it's time to kind of tidy up that house. Let's get it all cleared. Let's go room by room and get it ready so you don't have to do it at the last minute. Closets, shelves. Let's stock the pantry. Let's clean out the fridge and the freezer. That's a challenge. I know. Let's get a little ahead so you feel like you can breathe. You have a breather.
I totally have that feeling right around Labor Day and going into like September. That's so interesting. I thought it was just me because everyone talks about spring cleaning, and I don't do like dedicated spring cleaning. I'm a weird kind of cleaner. If it's dirty, and I see it, I clean it. I'm not organized in that way, but it's okay. We get by.
And I think the terminology spring cleaning is a little bit deceiving. It's really not cleaning. It's really decluttering.
Decluttering. Yeah.
But when you say spring decluttering, people go, ew. Nuh-uh. I mean, if you say the word declutter, they get excited, but they run because it's this word I have to go through my things. Oh no. So I call it spring cleaning, and I try to take it in small steps each week. I just got through doing my spring cleaning challenge. So it's really kind of a decluttering and tidying up. And in the fall, I'll sort of do the same thing, but I call it a fall refresh. And
I like that.
It's just after Labor Day. It's where you go through again your closets and take a peek at your shelving, take a peek at, this and that. Are you going to have guests coming over? Let's get ready, that kind of thing. Get ahead of it a little. So it's a little bit different than spring cleaning. So, most of the people that follow along, I have a lot of people follow along, but they just jump in and out, depending on what area I'm talking about. There are a few that stick with it all the way through because they have a lot of stuff to go through. Plus, it's just in and out, whatever can help.
Yeah, sometimes people they find something and it's like, yeah, this is it. Thank you.
Yeah, most of the time it's
so much.
closet.
Yeah.
Most of the time it's their closets.
Yeah,
that are the big. Yeah.
Honestly,
That's
I'd like to say I have that
podcast.
rule about every time something comes in, something comes out, but it's not true. It's an idea, but I'm not good at parting with too many things.
Well, because they're part of us, they look really good on us or have in the past or whatever. It just feels good. Why get rid of something that felt good?
Yeah.
Makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah. If it's got holes or it's like worn, fine, but yeah.
So those holidays loom. And so I just try to get people a little ahead of things to kind of like let the air out of the balloon and de-stress, have a little more fun, get caught up and ahead. Most of us have so much going on in our lives that it's easy to get behind the eight ball. It's easy to get, blown away by all the things that we have to do. So the more I can get people to think ahead, that's what the point is.
I like that. It is. And then it is kind of it's a relaxing feeling to have, kind of like the garden thing, if things, an area has been for me organized, I'll want to spend time in it. Like if it's my bedroom, I'll sleep better. Is there something to that with sleeping better in an organized room?
Oh yes, there is. There's something to sleeping in a very clear, tidy room. Only what you need to sleep should be in that room. That's it. Except your clothes. You get up and kind of put your clothes on. I mean, I understand that. Even some people have their clothes in a separate room. Some people do. I'm just a big, so, and some people believe, well, I relax in there, so I need my TV and I need my phone, I need this, I need that. Well, I can't argue with that. Most data says you really shouldn't have any electronics in your room except maybe an alarm clock. I understand that you feel more relaxed when you're watching TV, but that's really not the truth. Oops. I hate to tell you, it really stimulates you, but I know it feels good because you turn it on and go, I totally get it. So I try to tell people, well, maybe you can move that out.
I'm smiling because I could live without the TV in the room, but my husband, he loves it. And I'm like, you know what? That's a compromise that we have. And there are some nights I will say, how long are you going to watch that basketball game? Because I really like the room to be dark. Yeah. And he usually laughs and he's like, you'll be asleep in about 5 minutes. And so it's a compromise.
Yeah. And that's not an uncommon one. I hear that a lot. Well, my wife likes the TV in the room and I don't, but I'll just, I'll put my little earmuffs in or whatever I do and just go to sleep.
And it's good enough.
So, well, don't fight it if it's going to be a problem. Yeah, go with it. And I'd much rather see people read themselves to sleep. But if they don't have time to watch a basketball game, I guarantee you they're going to watch it in bed because they're not going to miss it.
Right. If that's something, for example, yeah. It's so
can't help that. Yeah.
I know. Oh gosh. Oh, I love how you call homemaking an art. And I will tell you, when I was like a rebellious, like teenager, 20 something, the last thing I wanted to do was be like thought of as a homemaker. You know what I mean? I had this connotation in my head about really a homemaker. And then I kind of did a flip. And I think it's pride of ownership. And, I saw it as a blessing to actually have a home to be able to make.
Right there, exactly.
And I
Yeah.
think about it sometimes, especially when I have a lot of chores to do at home. And I think about, there are some people, and did you post this? Somebody just posted this about, don't be so upset about the tasks that you have today, because those might have been the things you prayed about 20 years ago.
That was me. Yeah.
That
Yeah.
was you. I
Yeah.
thought it was you.
Yeah. Yeah.
What a beautiful thought.
Yeah. It kind of stops you. That one stopped me in my tracks. When something stops me, I post it. I know that it's probably going to resonate. I think, and I really debated before. I made a little shift about a year ago and changed from a healthy twist of health. And I said, well, it's really the art of homemaking. And because then it encompasses everything that I'm doing. And I think the terminology or the term homemaker has a bad rap. And I think people kind of look down on it like it's lower than people that work. Well, you're just a homemaker. Homemaker? I don't want to be a homemaker. Well, it's not really about that. It's homemaking. And it's not a label. It's an art.
It's not a label, it's an action.
You could be the CEO of Google and be terrible at homemaking and maybe want to learn a little bit about it. It's an art. It's not something that is lower than you or it's a title or a position or something like that. It's really an art. It's something you want to do well.
Yeah. 100% want to be good at keeping where you live, keeping your space pleasant, something you want to come home to. Right. And then healthy comes into it. I love that you brought up the mother-in-law tongue. I'm very excited about that.
Yeah. I encourage everybody to get those. They're just fabulous. So, anything as far as the art goes, anything that really you feel passionate about, like bread baking and gardening, that's a homemaking aspect. Grab onto it and learn it. You don't have to be good at meal prep. Okay. Some people aren't. Okay.
Some are not interested.
Some people aren't. They're not right. You might be interested in some gourmet classes, some gourmet meal, whatever. Or you might be interested in bread baking, or you might be interested in becoming vegan, or whatever it is, or in plants, how to clean the indoors. Okay. Whatever it is, grab onto it and learn it. That's what I say. We can't do everything. But
we can't do everything. You're right. But we can pick and choose that which makes us most happy.
Absolutely. And something we're really inclined to be good at. It's really rewarding to see that we can master things. Really, it is. Because we always look to other people and say, oh, they're so good at that. Oh, they're so good at that. And it's like, well, what about this and this and this? You're good at that too. Show everybody.
Yeah. We can choose what we want to be masters at. Is that what you're saying?
Yes, we can. We can choose to be masters at it. We may not become a billionaire. We may not make a lot of money at it.
Yeah.
But you never know how you're affecting other people. You just never know how they're going to take, what they're going to take away from that and the blessings you're going to give them.
Yeah, so. I'm nodding my head. This is so funny. I always forget because we're looking at each other. A lot of times I'll just nod because I want to just let you keep talking and not interrupt.
No, really, and you see it from a lot of your friends on Instagram when they share things, you're like, wow, this has really done so much for me today. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Or I'm going to try this and do this. And it just really impacts people in a positive way. And I think people really need to give themselves more credit about the arts that they're very good at and share them. You know how we're taught to kind of be humble and not really brag about ourselves. You know that.
Yeah, women especially. We're taught.
Right,
Mhm.
right. Which I completely disagree with, but that's just me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I agree. I think being humble is overrated, but I mean, I was raised by parents of the 40s, 50s, and 60s. I was born in 1960. I never mind telling people that. But I also had older parents who I'm the seventh or the eighth of 8 children. And the values were, they were good, beautiful values, but humble was
Yeah.
top of the list. You know,
Right.
okay.
Yeah. Yeah. Manners are great.
Manners, yes.
Manners, humble but not quiet. Humble and not being kept down. That's the way my mom taught me. Don't be afraid, but be humble. I mean, you don't want to
Yeah.
be, a loud mouth bully or anything.
Yeah.
You know, there's humility and then there's being bold, I guess.
Yeah, that's a nice distinction. Yes. The thing, like one of the things that my father always talked about was being humble and kind. And
Mhm.
my sister spoke about that at we only had 5 minutes for his eulogy, and we kind of voted that she was a teacher. We thought she would be the best one. And she came up with that in his eulogy. And I can't tell you the people who messaged me. I had friends mailing me little dish towels, literally, that said, always be humble and kind.
Aw.
And I mean, it had an impact. And I thought,
Yep.
so I'm talking about, humble and quiet, not speaking up for yourself. It's okay to be humble and kind, but also let people know, hey,
Sure.
this is me,
That's right.
right? We have to express ourselves.
Right. Be bold but kind. There's nothing wrong with it. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
yeah, so I think as we get, through, as we start to approach our older years, it's even more important to find new arts that we're good at. It just keeps us, uh, it keeps us out of our, like the couch potato, your little your
Yes,
podcast.
you saw that,
Business
right? We
that, the
want to
couch
be
potato.
more than a
Yeah,
couch
that was an
potato.
interesting perspective on that one. Yeah, I like that because I'm not going to deviate for very long, but I work out 4 to 5 days a week, and I don't sit down very much. But it's that continuous movement that you have to do, kind of like what you talked about,
Yeah.
to keep the benefit of those workouts going
Going.
for you. Right.
But just the fact that you don't sit down much,
I
right,
don't.
is a
I don't.
lovely
I have
thing.
to
And
force myself to sit down.
well, if you're gardening and you're organizing and you're baking, you're spending probably a lot more time on your feet
I
than,
am. Yeah, I
yeah.
am.
And the same here. Yeah. But
Yeah.
sometimes I still will set that timer, just go outside, walk out for 5 minutes, come back.
Mhm.
So, yeah. It's again another blessing, right?
Oh yeah. So that one was great. I really love that one.
Well, thank you. I don't even remember what episode that was, but
It wasn't very long ago.
no, actually, I'm going to go back a page and look at my.
Yeah, it wasn't very long ago. But it was great. I'm like, well, there's another thing I need to put on my
Yeah, it was episode 88. It came out
yeah.
on April
Mm,
19th. Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
So, in case
Good one.
anyone was listening, but
Right.
gosh, I want to thank you for coming in today and talking, Rebecca. I was pleasantly surprised. I thought we were just going to talk about plants, but after I dug a little bit deeper on your website, I mean, I knew that you had awesome organizing talents and things that you shared with us, but I love your little triangle of organizing, baking, and gardening. And I'm so glad I asked you about what you were excited about, because then we got into that whole thing about seasons and what kind of your little focus changes with the seasons. And
Mhm.
I feel like it does for a lot of us.
Oh yeah. I think it does for most of us. Absolutely.
So, well, I'm excited. I'm actually planning to start my garden as well in the next few days. I have herbs and flowers, and as much as I want to do vegetables, I'm afraid of the deer. I think I was telling you
Mhm.
before we started recording that the deer, like we see them every night.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. I have bunnies and they're starting to chew. And oh well, I guess I have to replant and they have to eat too.
they
I
have
mean, I
to eat
know,
too.
yeah,
Yeah.
with deer, you people would have to get a greenhouse. They would have to shelter those because there's no way to. keep those deer out of there.
There is no way. I know tried some, I do pretty good with the flowers, like that when I go to our garden center. One year they ate everything. And then I've done a little bit more research about deer friendly plants.
Right.
And the one year we did it, it didn't look very good, but the deer didn't eat it. Then we've been getting better and better. Also, we now have dogs, big Labradors. And I think it helps that they're scent. Like I can see the deer beyond, but like on our side of the invisible fence, I don't see them like I used to. So fingers crossed, maybe we'll do better this year.
Yeah, it sounds like you're on the right track.
Yeah, we'll give it a try. Right?
All right.
Why not? It's
Yeah.
fun.
Well, if you when you get your herbs growing up, I'm anxious to see what you make with them.
Oh, well, you can bet it'll be pesto for
Pesto.
sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
Let me ask you this question really quick. I was going to end, but do you use or do you get ramps in where you are in Kansas City? Do you know what ramps are?
No. Mm-mm.
So they are part of like the garlic onion family, and they look like a ribbony, like a thicker blade of grass, maybe 8 inches tall, and a
Okay.
little bulb at the bottom, underground.
Yep. Yeah.
Like
I just called them wild onions. Yeah. Yeah. They're like weeds.
They're kind of like a wild onion. They're a weed. They can't be cultivated,
right.
but
I
they
do.
are so delicious. And like right now, this is peak season here in Western New York, and we got a couple more weeks. If we head to a restaurant, we might see them on the menu. I almost died. I saw them at my grocery store, and no, I didn't buy them. And do you want to know why? They were $17 a pound.
Oh, come
And I'm
on.
like, I think I just need to go into the forest and find them.
Yeah, I think I'll just go outside.
Yeah, I think
Well, now I'm going to pick them and try them because I already have chives and onions, but before I just kind of toss them on the ground and the bunnies would eat them. They'd come along and drag them off. Yeah.
Yeah, we have wild chives, wild onions. I have not seen ramps in my like yard or, just beyond where it's kind of wild, but I know they're here. So,
right. Yeah.
Anyways,
chives are another good thing to try in a pot. I don't know if you grow those or not. Do you grow chives?
Well, I ripped them out because I should put them in a pot for that reason.
Yeah,
right?
they're wild. They're wild, child. I'm telling you. Yeah.
Tell me the best herbs to put in a pot. I have 5 big pots dedicated that I'm planning on doing herbs. I eat everything. I eat like you, salsa, marinara, pesto. I do it all.
Pretty much, right. Pretty much any herb can go in a pot.
Okay.
Unless it's super tall with a big trunk, like a rosemary, it does well as long as it's not a huge tree like a rosemary.
Mm-hmm.
Almost anything does. I do not plant basil in a pot. That goes straight in the ground.
Okay.
Because my basil gets to be as tall as me.
Okay.
And a pot won't support that. But pretty much anything else like dill, chives, parsley, any of that, as long as it doesn't grow really tall with a big trunk. I've even had luck with the smaller peppers. Like
yes,
like Thai peppers, the little long red peppers grow great in pots, and that's great to cook with.
Last year, our friend, they go to Calabria, Italy every year, and he comes back with the seeds. And this past year, last July, before they left, they spent like 5 or 6 weeks there. He gave us a plant, and oh my gosh, it was awesome. And I saved some of the seeds. It's probably too late to start from seed now, but I may. That reminded me that we had so much fun cooking with them. Oh, they were the little Calabria ones. They were hot.
Yeah.
So
yeah. I don't know how hot it is there right now, Judy, but if it's only in the 70s, you may be able to get that going. If you put it in like in the next couple of days, it probably would sprout.
Oh, okay, cool.
Yeah, it probably would. You'd be a little behind, like 3 weeks with big deal.
So what? Yeah.
Big deal. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, this is so exciting. All right, I'll keep you posted.
Yeah, please do.
So thank you so much for joining us today. I think this has been a fabulous chat, and you've made homemaking cool again. And I want to thank you for that.
Yeah. All right. I love it.
Right? It's hip to be homemaking.
I love it.
As an action and not a label, right?
Right. Exactly. It's been fun.
Well, I hope you had as much fun listening to this as we did chatting about it. And I'm going to definitely own that expression that it's hip to be making a great home. So we don't have to be a label, but we can certainly have the action of homemaking. So whatever it is you want to do to make your environment cozy and happy and lovable, I wish you all the best and go for it. Who knows? You could pick up a new hobby. Hey, one more thing before I go. If you enjoyed today's chat, grab a screenshot of it and share it with your favorite people so that they too can enjoy it as well. And also, I will put Rebecca's information in the show notes. You can follow her on Instagram at Are You Ready to Organize? And I'm sure she would super appreciate it if you did. And also on her Instagram is a link to her website, so you can go there and check it out. She's got lots of really amazing tips. Hey, speaking of tips, if you enjoyed today's episode, please do me a favor if you are on Apple or Spotify and subscribe to this podcast and also leave a review. It goes a long, long way in helping us to get the word out to others who might be interested in stories and topics about the Air Hug community.